Four women who have nothing in common except a debt left by their dead husband's criminal activities take fate into their own hands and conspire to forge a future on their own terms.
God, I'm shaving so bad.
This was probably one of the few movies I wanted to see all year. This is Steve McQueen, not Bullet Steve McQueen. This is modern Steve McQueen. He's actually a black guy. He did 12 Years a Slave, which was a giant hit at the Oscars. And he also did Shame, which is actually one of my all-time favorite films. This director has done some incredible things, opening with Viola Davis and Liam Neeson. And then we cut to what looks like some sort of car chase or some heist going on, and then we constantly are cutting to several other couples. These husbands of all these women are involved in that heist, and basically they all die. And so they leave a debt. The thing about these car chases, and pretty much anything involving special effects, is this a thing? Is this a thing with new movies that just these special effects have just been garbage? Looking at this, I'm like, okay, this should be super dramatic, and I'm constantly reminded, I'm looking at nothing. These fluencies, these ways they move, I'm constantly thinking like, this looks like a PS4. It looks way too smooth. It looks like there's way too many frames a second. And this was something I found in Avengers Infinity War. I'm like, how come the one from 6 years ago looked so much better? We're getting the same amount of CGI. The first Avengers and then Infinity War, it's like, they clearly have the same amount of, computer effects. Why does the CG suck so much? In this one, though this is more of a, crime thriller, more ingrained in reality, when these big sort of brutal scenes or these quote-unquote action sequences happen, or when somebody is getting shot, it looks as bad as when someone gets shot in Walking Dead. So we're cutting to, this action scene, and then we keep cutting to these people, and we're sort of in this state of, we know that they exist. I know Michelle Rodriguez runs some clothing shop. Viola Davis loves Liam Neeson. One is seemingly in an abusive relationship. There are points where you need to have a long shot, because these movies come in at the end of the year. Those Oscar bait movies that you sort of find out always have super ridiculously long shots, always have this impeccably clean look, always has this super big emotional anger-inducing scene, one scene that's super, super disturbing. You're always gonna be getting those ones. And then they're gonna be nominated for, the best supporting actor, the best screenplay, whether they even deserve it or not, whether those scenes are even effective. You have Daniel Kaluuya, who is basically the Mr. Blonde of this movie. He's kind of just there to be intimidating and make you uncomfortable. And I liked him in Get Out. I thought, definitely not fucking Oscar-worthy, my ass. I cannot get into this movie's scenes. This is a director that loves the long takes. He has a legitimate reason for doing them, and they're warranted. It looks really fake, but that car chase scene, that could have actually been pretty cool if they stayed the fuck still. Let us just watch that for 30 seconds straight. I could really get into that, but then it just cuts to these couples that I don't give a shit about, because I'm way more invested in, the big fucking car chase. The next one we're getting is the scene with Colin Farrell and the chick in the car, in the cleanest car I've ever fucking seen. We're just looking over here. The car's right here. We're looking like over here, just at the street. And it lasts for like a good solid minute. And they're just talking. I mean, they're in an altercation, but they're talking. Like, this is what I'm trying to understand. I'm like, you have these moments where you need that long take to go and work. But why would you want it over here? It constantly keeps happening like this. And then there's a moment where Viola Davis is sort of reminiscing about Liam Neeson, most cliched shot in the fucking movie, looking out the window. He's not really real, but he's like right there. And they're sort of hugging each other and cradling each other. And then it just sort of cuts. Like, they're not doing anything that interesting. And I find the acting so off. When you compare someone's anger, like Michael Fassbender in Shame, and you compare it with anybody else in here, whether it be Daniel Kaluuya, whether it be Viola Davis, whether it be Michelle Rodriguez, I am amazed I'm like, wait, what happened? The most Oscar bait moment I've ever fucking seen in a movie, where Viola Davis is about to go to her funeral. It's sort of just shot like this, is trying to stay calm. She's all in black. She has lost her husband, and all of a sudden she just loses it, goes insane, and super crying and super emotional. This lasts for about 45 seconds, wasting of our fucking lives. We're just waiting for her to compose herself. It's like, okay, she's composed. Now, cut. Just fucking cut. This makes no sense. And he has this introduction in the beginning of the movie. It's sort of like he does the Incredibles 2 thing where he's like, oh, I wanted to thank everybody for, staying with me. It's like, oh, I'm stuttering my lines. Aren't I quirky? Aren't I relatable? Hair on my lipstick. Blech. It is almost like Ocean's 8. A lot of people didn't like that movie. I really liked it. None of them look like they're having fun doing it, and we don't know them for long enough of a time to really get behind them, get behind their specific motivations. I could get a little bit with the skinny white chick who has this abusive mother. We're just gonna Game of Thrones this and cut to them every 10 minutes like, hey, I'm still in the movie. Michelle Rodriguez is totally wasted. This is one of those chicks that has so much charisma with audiences, and she has that one joke in here where it's like, oh, I think she's wearing a condom. 5 people laughed in the audience, and I'm like, wow, the tone of this movie is just unbelievable. It's really a disappointment. These guys have done so much fucking better than this, and in this genre. I couldn't even get through it. I walked out, and it was the one I wanted to see all year, and it just gave me nothing, and it just, constantly wasted my time. See you later. Who are we and who are you? See ya.